This is how to do the knit stitch continental style. You put the stitches, the needle with the stitches on it, in your left hand. And I can't swear by this, but I do believe left-handers can do this. Grab the yarn, the working yarn, with your little finger, palm up, make a fist and turn your hand over. Bring the yarn around the top of your hand. It doesn't matter which finger you use, whatever is most comfortable for you, but you hold the yarn up with one finger, hold the needle with the other fingers, put the working needle in your right hand. I do it like a knife. Some people knit like this. I don't know how they do it. This is how I knit. With the working needle, put the tip through the front of the first stitch. You have your yarn ready back here with this finger. You need to get this needle on the top of that yarn, and with your finger make sure the yarn doesn't come off the tip of the needle. Pull that through your first stitch. Now you have a new stitch, and you need to slide that needle off the left needle onto the right. Working needle in the front of the stitch. Go toward the back. Touch your working finger or your yarn finger on top of the yarn. Pull the yarn through the stitch. Take the stitch off the left needle. Working needle through the front of the stitch, on top of the yarn, through the stitch. Take the stitch off the left needle. Working needle through the front of the stitch, on top of the yarn, through the stitch, off the needle. Front of the stitch, on top of the yarn, pull this new stitch through the old stitch, take the old stitch off the needle. Front of the stitch, top of the yarn, pull it through, take it off. Front, top of the yarn, pull it through, take it off. Front, top, through, off. Front, top, through, off. Front, top, through, off. Okay, you finished the row. Put this needle in the right hand and this needle in the left hand. Make sure this yarn is behind the needle. Pick up your working needle and start over. Get the front of the stitch, the top of the yarn, pull it through and take it off. Now the thing you need to remember when you start a new row, if your yarn is in front, you'll make a twisted stitch. You won't know how to get your yarn through. You've got to get your yarn behind the needle when you're knitting. It's a whole different story when you're purling, but this is knitting. Your yarn needs to be behind your needle. Front, top, through, off. Front, top, through, off. Front, top, through, off. Now do you see how I weasel those stitches up the needle a little bit so that it's a little bit easier to control? And I push these stitches down on the right hand needle. It becomes easier. You don't have to think about it once you've learned how to do this smoothly. Just push the stitches up the left needle and pull them down the right. That is all there is to knitting. There is another stitch called a purl stitch, but that comes later after you have perfected knitting and feel really comfortable with it.